Yes. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our continuation of the big, deep class analysis of all the specs in Legion. We are going to continue our little journey here with the Fire Mage. Yes, indeed. This was the target of much of my initial thoughts of Legion, the Fire Mage, and sparked much controversy, which has been spreading a little bit further than I expected it to do. I used the Fire Mage as an example of the dangers and the changes of the design philosophy, and I did say dangers there, in Legion, as there's a very simple philosophy that has gone on behind the Fire Mage, and that philosophy is translated to us as players as, I understand it, I get the why, I just don't like the how. So, not really meaning to start on a bad foot, let's go over the changes and you can understand what's going on here. You can see I've been playing around quite a lot with this. This character's like 104 now, done some leveling. I was playing quite a lot on the level 110, but that's now obviously switched around. You might not be aware of this, but the 110s are for PvP purposes. They've disabled them from being able to be used in PvE, which is a bit of a bummer, but most of this stuff with the Fire Mage is passive. And we have had a blog post as well, which has answered some of the prayers in the eyes of many of the changes that people hoped to see. And I'll talk about them as we go through here as well. So what's going on? You've got most of the basics that you'll recognize. Your Flame Strike still here. Fireball, Inferno Blast, still doing what it's doing. It's off the global cooldown. You can be doing it while casting other spells. We have Scorch, still. We have Scorch, we have Dragon's Breath, and we have a new button here. The Phoenix's Flames. Yes, the Phoenix Flames. Phoenix Flames is your new spell. Now, Phoenix Flames currently in the build that I'm recording this on replaces Pyroblast, which was a absolute massive crippling blow to fire. So when I talked about I understand the why is this. Fire is too uncontrolled when it gets high gear. And that has led to Fire almost having a tradition of being one of the most nerfed classes over the course of a single expansion, repeatedly over different expansions. And that's because in order for Fire to function, it needs a solid amount of crit. It doesn't work without a solid amount of crit in Blizzard's eyes, especially when Combustion was based off Ignite. You had this cooldown that could vary so wildly. Yeah, you could fire off, if you were a newbie and you didn't really understand how Ignite works and stuff, you could fire off a combustion that would do like, what, 20,000 damage? Whereas another player playing the same class could get hundreds of thousands of damage, and then that scaled up into the millions of damage. And that was the gulf that existed if you used combustion incorrectly. This led to, of course, in the raid world, players with the best gear in the game doing absolutely crazy things in comparison to the other players. It's actually not a problem that players in the high-end PvE world could do a tremendous amount of damage to a fucking PvE boss, to an NPC boss. That's not a big deal, right? That's fine. The problem was it scaled way further than it was supposed to in comparison to the other raiders, and Fire was just uncontrolled, which is kind of like the theme of Fire. When I think of Fire, I think of this uncontrolled, dangerous, volatile substance that is going to cause major havoc if not kept in check. And ironically, Blizzard had to keep putting it in check and dousing the flames, so to speak, in order to make it work. So that's the why. They wanted to rein Fire in, bring it into line, and the way they've had to do that is say, look, we're going to have to take away your ability to make things go wild. We've got to do that. We can't have the player, especially the better players who know how to properly align cooldowns and make the stars align on a more regular basis than anyone else, and almost force that to occur. We're going to have to stop you having this potential ceiling being blown away, and you can take these things to absolute astronomical heights beyond what was intended of the spec. And beyond what was intended of any DPS spec, for that matter. So what they've done there is really the big hard-hitting thing. As usual, Blizzard hits it with a hammer, is Combustion. They've changed Combustion back to almost a vanilla style of play, really, which is engulf yourself in flames. That's what I showed you earlier. It looks extremely cool. Of that, there is no doubt whatsoever. Notice it changes all your spell effects. That's my trinket going off there, but that should be blue. But if you're Combustion, everything turns to fire. Very cool that it has that synergy with other animations that go on with your character. What it does, it simply doubles your critical strike chance, right? It doesn't give you 100% crit, just doubles the chance, and it also grants you mastery equal to your critical strike stat. Yes, I'm sorry, friends. Combustion is now excruciatingly boring. Excruciatingly boring. And you might think, oh, double crit chance, that's awesome. That means loads of pyros, right? Yeah. But that's not actually a big deal for fire anymore, unfortunately. So the byproduct of this is they were like, oh shit, we've taken that away. How else are we going to fix this? Now, over the course of the last couple of expansions, in order for fire to not fall into the trap that it traditionally has, and that trap was fire at the beginning of an expansion, because of low crit rating from gear, was utterly useless in most cases. It was utterly useless because you just could not crit enough to get a decent combustion, because you couldn't get a really good ignite, and you just never ever got to really fire Pyroblast off. That then meant in the middle ground, fire was usually pretty good. You had regular Pyroblast, you could get good combustions with a little bit of thought going into it, and many people used add-ons and stuff. That's Combustion Helper. Everybody mostly knows that, who's played a Fire Mage. And then towards the end of the expansion, fire got ridiculously out of control, as I talked about earlier, because crit chance went through the roof. You were pyroing all the time. You never had to think about whether or not really to fire off combustion, just check if you had your trinkets up or not, and your ignite and your combustion was going to be absolutely pretty crazy. So they double dipped it. Now we have an abundance of flat bonuses that boost up your critical strike chance, which means you will rarely, and I mean this, in actual gameplay terms, it rarely ever go more than like 2 casts without critting. It's like obscenely rare. So the big hitter of this, of course, is Enhanced Pyrotechnics. Every time you fire a fireball, there you go, 2 casts, and we're instantly into heating up. You'll go 2 casts, usually, and your Enhanced Pyrotechnics will buff up your critical strike chance. We have a huge amount of critical strike chance that comes from our weapons, from our artifact weapon. Lots and lots of little talents that just buff crit chance and stuff. Essentially meaning that you start critting all the time. You can see my flat crit chance right now is 35%. Yeah, 35% crit already. So you understand that you're pyroing all the time. Pretty much every 2 casts, you'll be doing Pyroblast. So that means Pyroblast is boring now. Unfortunately, to say the least. Pyroblast is basically just another fireball. At the beginning of when I did the artifact quest for fire, I was certainly like, oh shit, look at all the Pyroblasts. I'm getting that nostalgic feeling now, and I call it nostalgic because it no longer exists, of getting that streak of Pyroblasts. A very exciting time for any Fire Mage is when your Pyroblast starts going absolutely insane and you're throwing it out there. That is now gone. It's gone. You're firing Pyro every 1 to 2 casts, you'll be doing a Pyroblast. It's seriously strange to go more than a couple of casts without getting Pyro. There it is. So what you can see my Pyro's still there. And still there. Oh, I'm finding Phoenix Flames, that's why. Don't worry. Don't worry, I wasn't like getting lots of Pyro procs there. That was just now I'm getting a lot of Pyroblast. That's it. Do you get the idea, guys? Look, it just won't even go away. Welcome to your Legion Fire. Oh, I got to cast a Fireball? Never mind, there you go. Oh, back into Pyroblast again. What you're probably going to notice here is another change to fire. So in Walls of Draenor, of course, we had the idea of getting Heating Up, which is the small version of this buff. And what you could do was get Hot Streak, which was this one, and get Heating Up at the same time. This meant that you had the system that players devised, which was to fire a Pyroblast and a Fireball exactly the same time, so they would hit the target at the same time, which would likely trick the game into either giving you Heating Up, in which case you could use an Infernal Blast to change that into Hot Streak, or it would double hit and double crit, going straight back into Pyroblast, and you had that rhythm. Now, and I kind of used air quotation marks here, they've kind of taken that away. You can no longer have Hot Streak and Heating Up at the same time, but because Infernal Blast is like off the global cooldown and stuff, it's the same thing. It doesn't change at all. You just bank your Infernal Blast and you just use your Infernal Blast while you're casting, go into another Fireball and Pyro at the same time. And again, Fireball and Pyro at the same time. Didn't crit, what a bummer. So now I have to cast a Pyroblast, but at that point I'm like at 4 Pyrotechnic stacks, yeah? Do you get the idea? And then you just repeat this process. And this is your entire rotation as fire. This is how this works now. And I'm sure you're getting the idea that you're just Pyroblasting all the time. All the time. There's very rarely occasion. I mean, Fireball is just a filler for the next instant cast Pyroblast. You're just doing it constantly. You see what I mean? It almost gets to the point where I don't have Infernal Blast actually fully on cooldown because of the way the system works now. My Infernal Blast, even at 2 charges that are recharging, you can see now, I can't demonstrate this any better than I am right now. There's no weird effects going on here with bonus crit chance, really. This happens in normal gameplay. You'll show that. We're going to do a dungeon at the end of this to demonstrate that. I actually got up to 2 charges without ever needing to press Infernal Blast, really, in order to actually proc Pyroblast. So this is the same system as heating up and hot streak banking. It's just built into like the Infernal Blast system. So this is how this spec works. So what does this ultimately mean? It's far more controlled. This is like old reliable now, honestly. It is very, very reliable, but there is absolutely no question whatsoever. Fire has lost any sort of real moments of fun. Getting Pyroblast is not fun because it happens every second or so. It's not a big deal. Firing off Combustion doesn't mean a whole lot. The main benefit actually is the mastery equates to critical strike, which just means that your spells hit slightly harder. It might as well be a flat damage buff, realistically speaking. The extra bonus crit is nice, but it's not the outstanding feature of Combustion. And ultimately, there's not them moments that fire traditionally has. And you could go back even as far as my Mists of Pandaria or even Cataclysm Fire guides. Just look at the enthusiasm and joy that fire brings me in those videos when it goes crazy. And it has that chance to, and I don't mean to be a pun here, but to spark the flame. And it just goes boom, and then you burn the world. That's what fire meant for me. That is gone now. Now, what changes are coming? Let's talk about Phoenix Flames. So, because Pyroblast has become dull, and it has, and Blizzard has recognized that, they've come up with the new spell, Phoenix Flames. So, this is the spell you're supposed to be excited about. Now, originally, and you can check my previous video on this, Phoenix Flames was actually completely designed, intentionally, I might add, in order to cripple your ability to go absolutely nuts with fire. It was designed to do that. The reason I'm saying that is, one, if you want, I've don't gone into detail elsewhere, but the very simple fact that it replaced Pyroblast meant that you couldn't bank them. You couldn't do that. So Phoenix Flames hits harder than Pyroblast, right? So you want to be able to use Phoenix Flames under the effects of combustion, etc., etc. They said, no, we're not going to let you do that. And the way we're going to stop you doing that is putting it over Pyroblast. So once you got Hot Streak, you had no choice as a player to not fire off a Phoenix Flames even though you did not want to. You wanted to save them for, like a Warlock banks its embers for Chaos Bolts, right? You want to use that kind of system. Blizzard said, no, we're not going to let you wait for Trinket procs to fire your most hard-hitting spells. We're not going to do that. This is going to replace Pyro, and you have absolutely no choice whatsoever in the matter. Now, I created that video a long time ago. I picked up fire, and in the first hour, I was like, this is fucked up. You are purposely trying to cripple the choice of the player here, Blizz. Made a whole big video about it where I used the fire mage as an example, although the situation is widespread across many of the classes, right? This isn't a fire exclusive issue. And other people obviously picked up on that as well. The feedback has been long, it has been hard, and it has been fought, and there has been some sign of victory. What is the victory? Phoenix Flames is going to become its own button. It will still have a recharge, okay? It will still have the recharge, and it will also have a chance to proc. Now, that might sound awfully familiar to you if you've ever played a mage, ever. It's very similar to Arcane Missiles, and it is very similar to Frost Firebolt, Brave, Brain Freeze, whatever you want, which is actually missing now in Legion for Frost. But that is exactly what you're looking at here. What does it actually mean? Does it mean that this will turn the spec from its rather run-of-the-mill mundane existence, which it does have right now, guys? I'm not being a whiny bitch here. This is just how it plays. Will it change that? Absolutely not. What you're going to have, you can have a potential of 3 charges with Phoenix Flames. You can see I have the Flame Orbs here. That means how many charges of Phoenix Flames I have. I have 3 right now, and they naturally regenerate. 45-second recharge, I think. Yeah, I think it's a 45-second recharge, I'm sure. What you'll do is you will watch for getting 3. Yeah? And if you get 3 and your combustion is still like a ways away from being able to be cast, because you want to cast 3 of them while under the effects of combustion, I'll explain why that's even more important later, you're going to just fire one off. Honestly, it will add absolutely nothing to the gameplay. If I'm being completely honest, this is not something you're going to think about. It basically means you want to have 3 charges for combustion, and if you're going to waste it or potentially waste a charge, you're going to fire off one in between times. That's all it's going to add to the gameplay from what I can show you right now. I hope they do something else later in the lifetime of the expansion when I have a chance to revisit this, but given what they've actually said and what it's going to do, I do not expect it to add the joy back. The moments of glory that fire is used to, fire gets excited about. I do not think that will occur, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. So why do I wish that Phoenix Flames, why would you definitely, more than just the fact that it hits harder, want to use Phoenix Flames in line with combustion? Well, of course, you get the mastery equal to critical strike chance, which means it'll hit even harder, which is really nice. But combustion only lasts 10 seconds. which means you do not want to be casting Fireball in that period of time. You don't want to be doing that. Phoenix Flames is instant cast. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's pretty obvious, right? For Combustion could easily be changed to be more exciting if it guaranteed that every spell you cast caused Hot Streak. I mean, if I'm going to even suggest at a very basic level to change this, before we even get into talents and stuff, I would really do away with all the bonus critical strike effects that Fire has. It doesn't need them. That would make Pyro more enjoyable. Phoenix Flames is a cool idea. Graphically, it was better previously. Now it's a kind of weird. You'll see the wings come out the back of it. See the little Phoenix wings come out of here? It was an actual fiery Phoenix at first, which I thought was much better. But either way, subjective, never mind. But you don't want to. You only have a 10-second window to capitalize on Combustion. You really don't want to be casting Fireball in that period of time. It's the worst spell to be casting under the effects of Combustion. And you can't guarantee, without having the charge of Phoenix Flames, which is still only going to be 3 globals, that you can instant cast. Obviously, instant casting a lot of Pyroblast is going to be far more beneficial than doing Fireball and the Pyro with those 2 seconds. You're going to get way less spells out, which does way, way less damage. I would love to see them do away with Enhanced Pyrotechnics, go back to the critical strike chance being based on gear. That will give a natural progression to fire over the course of the expansion, and it should be controlled because they control how much crit you get. There are no talents which make it completely absurd. I would love that to happen, so Pyro is more interesting. That makes Phoenix Flames will still be tied, and I don't think they're going to get rid of it, so I wouldn't even suggest that they do. That's tied to Combustion, but it's only going to be 3 because we only can have the 3 charges, right? So it'll only be the 3 under Combustion, and then we'll be tunneling Pyros in for the remainder of the 10 seconds, and we'll turn into what would very similarly be an Elemental Shaman under the effects of Ascendance, yeah, with the Lava Burst spam, which is okay. That's kind of interesting and fun. Yeah, that's far more interesting than what we have now. That's all I'll tell you there. It's not the most amazing idea I've ever had. I wouldn't expect to get a raise on the creative team for coming up with that idea, but it's certainly better than what this is, which is just so dull when you fire it. And the fact that you crit all the time anyway, you barely feel that crit chance bonus. You really just do not feel that crit chance bonus. And it kind of makes some talents mandatory. So with that being said, let's get into our talents so we can have a look at that. Now, the talent system is not the best, unfortunately. Fire's not in a great place, guys, honestly. Especially compared to it has been over the previous expansions, in my opinion, anyway. So, Tier 15 is entirely passive. There is nothing here that you could do to give you more choices of player. You have Pyromaniac, which is casting Pyro while Hot Streak is active. Has a 10% chance to instantly reactivate Hot Streak, which gives more Pyros. And you might say, you keep moaning that Pyro's boring now. Why would you take Pyromaniac? Because it hits hardest. Yeah, it hits fucking really hard. So it procs so often that 10% chance is happening all the time. And you just saw then how many Pyroblasts actually proc and stuff. So it's kind of important. Conflagration, enemies affected by Ignite have a 10% chance to flare up and deal fire damage to nearby enemies, which is kind of like your AoE, kind of. And Firestarter, which is a leveling ability as far as I'm concerned. We saw this similar to the Affliction Warlock as this strange sort of ability, which was basically for leveling. So your Fireball spell always deals a crit when the target is above 90% health. There'll be some bosses where that's beneficial. Sure, there'll be some ads, but mainly it's for dungeons. It's not too bad. But generally speaking, it's not overall useful. It could have been a glyph. It could have been a glyph. It absolutely could have been a glyph if glyphs were still a thing like they were in Walls of Draenor, which is a shame. So this tier is dull. It's entirely passive. Does it change anything? Firestarter actually does change part of your gameplay. These don't, really. I mean, getting more Pyros, you either know it's procced or you don't. I mean, it just lights up and you're still going to be casting that Fireball for the double chance on crit anyway. So it doesn't really change anything. Having the Pyromaniac or not does not change what I press. Okay? It just means that I still have Hot Streak where otherwise I would not. I'm still going to be doing Fireball, yeah? I'm still going to do this. Fireball, and then Fireball Pyro. Now, it's probably proc there, but I'm still going to be casting that Fireball Pyro. And I'm still going to be doing it here and here and here. You get the idea? These are Phoenix Flames, obviously. I'm still going to be doing this. Nothing will change because of Pyromaniac, and nothing changes because of Conflag. I don't even know if it's happened, more than likely than not, because I've got so much dot damage naturally spreading around. Your dots naturally spread now, by the way, if you weren't sure. Okay, so we have some defensives here. Cauterize, Shimmer, and Cold Snap. Cold Snap is just the go-to in nearly every scenario. It heals you while you're in Ice Block. It's great for 5-mans and stuff. Level 45, Mirror Images. Could we have had something fire-centric? Incanter's Flow, because, you know... why am I taking Incanter's Flow? Mirror Images is pretty boring. Yeah, it doesn't work with anything that I do with fire. It doesn't have any sort of It doesn't synergize well with anything. It doesn't benefit from anything I have. It's just a cooldown. And Rune of Power is fucking horrible. Now, it's in the best iteration I've ever seen it, if I'm being honest, because it... why am I saying that? It perfectly lines up with Combustion. Rune of Power lasts 10 seconds. Combustion lasts 10 seconds. So what you're going to be doing is... you ready for the great gameplay? You're going to be getting this. You're going to get a hot streak. I should have done that. There we go. Casting Rune of Power. Combustion. Go. Fireball. Boom, 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 boom. And then you're going to get Rune of Power and Combustion all up at the same time. That's generally what you're going to be doing. Yeah, so you get a really good Combustion, which is fine. Rune of Power is in the best version I've ever seen it. It's increased your spell damage by 50% while you stand in your Rune of Power. You're going to line it up with Combustion. That's going to line up with the Phoenix Flames, which kind of takes control out of your hands. I mean, that's what it is. But a cooldown should do that. I'm not going to bitch too much about Rune of Power. It's the best it has been for a while. That's enough said. Little cast time, only lasts 10 seconds, lines up perfectly with Combustion. Cool. It cancels flow while you can't use Rune of Power, but is there any scenario you can now no longer use Rune of Power? So few. So few. I'm going to use it Cancer's Flow for like 5-mans and stuff, but on the boss, sure, I'm going to switch to Rune of Power. Why the fuck wouldn't I? It works. Is it boring? Yeah, it's a flat 50%. It's damage buffs again. These are cooldowns that just give flat damage buffs, and I'm sick to death of talking about why that's boring, and some of you disagree, so we'll move on. Level 60, Blast Wave, still exists. Control Burn, again another passive. Where you gain heating up, you have a 10% chance to instantly activate Hot Streak. Yeah, more Pyroblasts. And you have Flame On. Now, Flame On, one, looks super cool. Okay, so it travels down your... you can see it travels down the arms, onto your arms. What does it do? It grants you 2 charges of Infernal Blasts. This is pretty crucial while under the effects of Combustion. The last thing I want to do while under the effects of Combustion is cast a Fireball. I don't want to do that. So, what you'll do while under the effects of Combustion, a worst case scenario, is you'll obviously prepare yourself by having a Pyroblast ready to go, get your Rune of Power down, get that first Fireball going, Combustion, and then you'll start firing things. One of those is almost guaranteed to crit with the crit bonus from Combustion, and then you have Infernal Blast to sort of fill the gap so you can quickly get another Pyroblast going, which is likely to crit, or your Infernal Blast will work with it in some way. And even if you get some absolute fuck up and you don't get crit Pyroblast under the effects of Combustion, you not only have the 2 natural charges of Infernal Blast, but you also have Flame On, which instantly grants you more charges, so you can get back up to those Pyros, alright? So in actual practice, Flame On is really, really fucking useful. And even in the scenarios where you're having a reasonably... if you're not getting a crit every couple of casts, guys, this is now... let me get rid of these Phoenix Flames. God, I can't wait for this to have its own button, just even for demonstration purposes. In the rare scenario that you're... can I even reproduce this? In the rare scenario that you don't have a charge of Infernal Blast when you get heating up, the rare scenario where that does happen... then Flame On just seems to fit that moment when you can use it. It just seems to be like, oh, okay, I need a couple more charges of Infernal Blast just to keep the ball rolling. So this might have happened now, maybe? Nope, didn't happen. Got my Infernal Blast back. Maybe now. Yeah, maybe now. So now I can actually go, oh shit, I need my Infernal Blast charges. Flame On, got my 2 back, and then you can start filling in the gap. Okay? So it just keeps the ball rolling with a little mediocre downtime. So it kind of makes me feel Flame On is kind of mandatory, as it works so well with Combustion. At higher gear, sure, Control Burn is probably going to be better. But frankly, as you can see here, I just don't need more Hot Streak chances. I don't need them. Ice Swords, Ring of Frost, and Ice Ward. What can you say? Ring of Frost is really useful in many PvE scenarios. Never going to complain. Living Bomb made the cut. Still here. Now, at the moment, it says it's maybe spread by Infernal Blast. That's absolutely not true. As you can see, it's not spread. What I will say is you can cast it on multiple targets, but it's not spreading yet, which kind of means to get the best out of it, you're probably going to have to do multiple global cooldowns. So it's Living Bomb. You guys know what it does, right? So I don't really need to explain that. But at the moment, it's kind of unusable because it's not being spread properly, and you have to like use a lot of globals, a lot of globals to get it spread around. Unstable magic is what it is. You got it. So at the moment, at least in Legion Alpha, you're going to be taking unstable magic, which is passive explosive damage when you deal normal damage, or you're going to take flame patch, which gives some extra dot damage to your flame strike. Now, I will say, I just want to mention flame strike here for a moment. Flame strike is a huge cast time. It's 3.52 seconds, but it is instant cast while under the effects of Hot Streak. Yeah, you see that? Instant cast. I will say I really like that. one, you do a lot of natural cleave damage anyway as fire by doing single target. So when you're single target damaging, it's not the end of the world that you're not doing some sort of AoE centric spell, because your natural cleave is making up for that anyway. And it also, because you get the the hot streak, get ready for a flame strike, it actually adds a lot of weight to the flame strike. It feels much meatier because I can't just spam it. Like Rain of Fire for the Warlocks, you know, where you just click it and it goes, doesn't feel meaty. It never feels weighty because it's just so flimsy to use, right? Where, or it needs a cooldown in order to counter that. Like Death and Decay feels meaty because it has a cooldown associated to it for the Death Knights. I think the way they've done Flame Strike is really nice. The instant cast with the, it's nothing particularly new, it's just it does add weight to it, and I'm fine with it staying with that way is what I want to say. Level 100 then. Meteor is easily the best looking spell, right? It's easily the best looking spell. Unfortunately, it still suffers from the same problems it's done for a long time. One, it splits the damage between all the targets, which kind of wrecks its DPS overall. It needs to stop doing that, because I would love and adore, you'll probably see a lot in my WOD videos where I play fire, is I use Meteor. Why? I fucking love this spell. But it has like no interactions, it splits damage, and I'm hoping that's not the way it's going to finish up. Why? Cinderstorm, which has a new ability in Legion, is graphically dog shit. It feels like let's read it then. You throw a spread of 6 cinders that travel in an arc and each deal fire damage to enemies they hit. The damage is increased by 30% of the targets affected by your ignite. The fact of the matter is, Cinderstorm looks terrible. I'm not really sure what the idea of Cinderstorm was in terms of like bringing it into the game, or what purpose it had, as you already had Meteor for some AoE damage. And the way they're balanced right now, and again, this is a numbers thing, so it's not a big deal. Cinderstorm is hitting so much fucking harder than Meteor, it's embarrassing. Like 4 times as hard to bait its ignite into play. So what does it look like then? Here we go, Cinderstorm. What is that? It looks like a load of imps just had a shit. It looks terrible. And why it exists in the same... Meteor more than fits the sort of idea that they're going for with Cinderstorm. It doesn't need to be this way. And of course, for single target then, unless Cinderstorm turns out to be the single target DPS increase, which currently it is, Kindling. And Kindling just reduces the remaining cooldown on combustion, which is, you know, it's boring. It's really boring. I can either use it every 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes. I will say, with all the critical strike, your Fireball, Pyroblast, and Infernal Blast critical strikes reduce the cooldown of combustion. You've seen how often you crit with fire now in Legion, even at a super basic gear level. Like, I'm like blues, greens, yeah, combination. I think I got my Fellow Malone to 754, which has no passive at the moment other than Immolate the Corpse of your foe. So we're waiting for something to be added there, yet they haven't announced it yet, which is a bit of a pity. I'm in nothing great. Yeah, it's a nice versatility, haste mastery, mastery chest, whatever the fuck, mastery wrists. So yeah, it's all coming from passives and stuff, which is less than interesting. So I would really like to see the base crit chance dropped down so it wasn't happening all the fucking time. That would make Pyroblast more exciting. Phoenix Flames is probably here to stay. There's no doubt about that. I would have actually preferred a glyph that actually changed Pyro to a Phoenix if that was the case. Now, it does fit kind of the theme. So let's talk about the really, really good side of fire before we get into the gameplay. The really good side of fire is the fucking animations. They're so good. You are setting your corpses on fire when you're nearby. You do turn into this when you press combustion, which is fucking awesome. It's so good. Flame On sends the streak of fire down your arms, which looks cool. It has no sound effect yet, but hopefully it will do. Dragon's Breath is still as cool as ever. Yeah? Phoenix Flames, even with the new animation with the little demon wings, looks cool. It looks really cool. Meteor's still cool. And I absolutely love the animations of the Flame Orb. Now, I will put a point out here. This represents that you have Phoenix Flames charges. Yeah? These are your Flame Orbs. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's supposed to be like Kale. Right? It's supposed to be like Kale Dash. So you should have 3 for 3. I have read that they're sticking with 1. Now, that was by Blizzard. That 1 is intentional. Change that. It should be 3. It should be 1 for each Flame Orb charge I have, right? So it's a visual indicator. That's what it should be. So it disappears when I fire the last one, and it will come back when I have charges. Now, whether it's a notification that, hey, dickhead, you've got Flame Orb charges, right? You've got Phoenix charges. That's what it's supposed to be. Cool. Just make it 3. so it looks like what it's supposed to. A little personal anecdote there is like the animations and the graphicals of fire are incredible. Absolutely breathtaking. It's like visually stunning. The gameplay though is a lot less than what you're probably used to. So in order for me to demonstrate that, we're going to jump into a dungeon now, guys. I've currently been in the queue for an hour and 39 minutes trying to get into a dungeon for you guys, but we'll get there, no worries. Thank you for watching this part. If you want to avoid spoilers, I suggest you leave now. Other than that, join me in a dungeon and we'll see what's going on. All right, guys? Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your butts! We are going to burn some motherfuckers to the ground! I'm getting hyped. Why? Because I'm about to play some Fire Mage. Hopefully I'm going to show it off to be pretty fucking decent. We're going to take Control Burn of Flame Patch and Incanter's Flow. We'll probably switch over to Rune of Power and some other shit. Oh, I'm going to take fucking Meteor. Fuck it. We're going to have fun. I need some extra buttons to press. I'd like to take Living Bomb, but as you probably know, it's not doing its job. So we're not going to do that. It's as simple as that, really. It's not going to do that. So, general play style, hopefully you've just come here from my other video, now everything's burning, we're going to Phoenix Flames the shit out of this, is, generally going to be Fireball until we get a crit, use an Inferno Blast mid-cast, and then we're going to do Fireball, Pyroblast at the same time, which should give us this result, as you're seeing now, which is sort of back-to-back hits, yeah? And that's how we're going to rock and roll, and that's going to be much of the stuff that's going on. So what I can't promise is anything tremendously exciting, mega awesome is going to happen. Probably not. But we are in Dark Art Thicket, which is a lot of fun regardless, so we should be okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it wasn't me. Yeah, it was. I know it was me. I know it was me. You can forget it. Let's drop a Flame Strike so we get... Oh, no, the dog's barking. I'm going to cut the audio while the dog barks. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I think we're good. Sorry about that. My postman probably just arrived, which is the real nightmare of working in an office that's based out of a house. But we can be forgiven for that. So, we'll mix in a few things into this. I'm using Meteor. Why? I like Meteor. It's nothing more, nothing less than that. And that's going to make my gameplay overall a little bit more fun in here. Meteor is the worst spell I could have chosen. So for those of you who are up to date on like what the Legion numbers are, you're probably going to be like, Preacher, don't use Meteor, please. Please don't do that. Yeah, well, sorry. Sorry, but it's more fun as an ability than Cinderstorm for sure. Firelocked. Oh, I did that to myself. Have a Meteor, buddy. Whee! Boom! Get fucked! For low damage. Whee! I will switch up to some other stuff. In fact, I'll change to Cinder. I know it. I know my comment section. I know you guys. I just know you guys so fucking well. I have to wait till Meteor's back off cooldown. But you'll be like, stop it. I'm screaming at my monitor. That's the classic one that I've read recently. I'm screaming at my monitor that you're doing this to me. Relax. It's Alpha. We can have some fun. Interrupt that. I should be taking... Oh, big AoE. Big AoE. Flame Strike. Whee! I want to drop a Meteor. Much sludge. Now, what I have found is that Dragon's Breath tends to be a pretty decent DPS to single target. Now, I'm not going to cast... I am not going to cast... I'm going to flame patch on those guys. I'm not going to be casting Meteor here, although I absolutely want to. I'm going to respec it. Maddening Roar. Don't cast. Good. Get our Phoenix Flames going. So, as we get settled in here, then we'll go into some details about some other thoughts I've had that I can't really talk about when going over the general talents and whatnot, which is the fun stuff. So, let's get Cinderstorm, which is... So, we can go psss as we piss our Cinderstorm out. So, you've obviously already seen what I was... Oh, these guys got a quest or something. Thank you, I'm alive. Cool. You've already seen exactly how many Pyroblasts we're getting off, yeah? A huge amount of Pyroblasts are going to be casted throughout this dungeon, and you're going to realize that I wasn't joking when I was doing the previews, just how many you get. We are still 104, by the way. These dungeons are properly scaled now. So originally they were scaling you to 110. What they're doing now is just keep you as 104 and scaling the mobs. So you can see I see 103 mob. They'll see different levels depending on what they are. Come on, more of you, more of you. Cinderstorm! Boo! Oh, the AoE is about to get real. Oh, it's going to get so real. Dragon's Breath. Another Flame Strike with Flame Patches. Ah, Cinderstorm, Cinderstorm. Please don't kill me. Phoenix Flames is going to burn everything. Another Phoenix Flame. Ah. Cinderstorm, Cinderstorm, Cinderstorm. I don't even know where that damage went, but it went somewhere. Ah. I see that DK, that Demon Hunter DK. That Demon Hunter thought he was the fucking shit then, with his fucking eye beam, but then he just saw the Cinderstorm, didn't he? He saw the Cinderstorm and he thought, shit, dude, that bro's got Cinderstorm. I'm like, I know, Bran. Yeah, respect the Cinderstorm. Yeah, oh no, I think I got wrecked on AoE. Anyway, it's alpha, it's tuning numbers, whatever. Numbers aren't finished yet. Blah, 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 blah. Etc, etc, excuses, excuses. Is he casting something? He is. Hey, stop casting, come over here. I can't believe that I caused that, but maybe I did. Who knows? No, look at my wicked sick fire AoE, dude. Look at the wicked sick fire AoE. It's way better than that shitty Demon Hunter. Flame Strike! Like I said, I really like that Flame Strike works with Hot Streak. It really does add some weight to it. And that's something I particularly enjoy. I like it when my AoE feels meaty. Like, Cinderstorm just never feels meaty, no matter what you do to it. It never, ever feels meaty, which is a shame. Cinderstorm! I'm casting this crappy spell far too much to make the best use out of it. It is a single target DPS increase. I'm not joking. It actually hits really fucking hard. So, yeah, there is that. But I will change over. Are we going to do the... Oh, it's not there. There was a rare boss there, so I assume it actually technically is rare now. And therefore doesn't appear. So you're seeing that Pyroblast is very much just like a normal spell at this point. There's no getting away from that. That Pyro has lost a lot of its gravitas. And I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. Get a Flame Strike down and a Flame Patch burning on those guys. Cinderstorm! Whee! I'm watching out for the Mattering Roar. There it is. Get an instant cast spell if you're going to Mattering Roar me, baby. So when we get to the boss, there's another Roar. When we do actually get to the boss, I'll swap over to Kindling. Rune of Power, I suppose. Suppose. And this is kind of my problem. It's all, you're always picking the lesser of two evils when you're picking your talents currently in the Legion. And I really don't expect that to change. So I talked about the blog post in the first section of the video. And it was discussing the idea that Phoenix Flames will be its own button. Which is fine and stuff, but it's not going to add anything to the gameplay particularly. I don't expect it to. I really don't expect that to happen. It will just stay as something that you press while on the effects of combustion. And also, this kind of promotes the actual issue with it. So if we go to Kindling, Rune of Power, as much as I don't want to, and a Stable Magic. Yeah, we don't want Flame Patch for this. Everything else looks pretty good, I suppose. It really does highlight the problem is that I can't, because of the nature of, this is why Phoenix Flames was such a huge pain in the ass, is because of the nature, so what I want here is a hot streak. Because of the nature of Phoenix Flames replacing Pyro, you really didn't want to cast Phoenix. Oh, I should have picked Flame On. That was my mistake. Bastard. Oh, well. Combustion's out now. See, Combustion doesn't last a very long time at all. Give me a crit. It's so long without a crit, I actually feel weird. I had a crit, so I'm going to Rune of Power off the back of it. Where's my crits at, bro? Come on. Oh, I'm not moving out my Rune of Power. No way. I can't move out the Rune of Power. Alright, it's gone. I can move. Typical Mage. I'm not moving if I'm in my Rune of Power. You can forget it. You can absolutely forget it. I'm not doing it. Yeah, you can't bank them up. And like, even leading to a boss, you're waiting like, what, like 2 minutes in order to get like 3 charges back because you want them for that opening combustion. Of course you want them for opening combustion, right? I'm going to save my next Rune of Power for combustion. I really should have picked Flame On. I feel like such a new cake for not doing that, but oh well. Go, Pyro. So you see, we still have that banking mechanic, really. It just works slightly differently. So combustion coming back shortly. Don't have an Infernal Blast for this one. Right, we're about to get into combustion. So here we go. Rune of Power. Combustion, go. Because the last thing you want to do while under the effects of combustion is cast Fireball. And it's actually Flame On that makes that happen. Without Flame On, you do have that situation where you're not getting it. Rune of Power, why not? We're going to get another one before the next combustion, more than likely. You're making me move out of my Rune of Power again, game. Fuck you, Rune of Power. You fucking suck. I fucking hate everything about you, Rune of Power. This is the best incarnation they've come up with for Rune of Power, and it still fucking sucks bollocks, you piece of fucking shit. God damn it. Oh! Who designed it? Where are you? You fucking a-hole, man. God damn it. Let's make something where they have to stay fucking still and put loads of mechanics in that means they have to fucking move all the time. Fuck off, Rune of Power. I've given you everything. I gave you every chance. You fucking suck. I talked to you. I said in the video, this is the best incarnation of Rune of Power. And it fucked me. It fucked me again, like it always does. It's like an abusive wife. Just fuck off. Leave me the fuck alone. Fucking dickhead. Oh well. Got it out of my system. But really, how many fucking expansions have we had this shit? Just fuck off. Fuck's sake. Anyway, so that's the last we'll see of Rune of Power for this demonstration. Okay, we won't be using Rune of Power again today. That'll be the end of the story. Let's get back to fire. So, I would like to play with Living Bomb. I'm actually a huge fan of Living Bomb. I really like the way it works. It's just unfortunate that... I'll show you, why not? We're not doing too much here in this early stage. It's a relatively long dungeon that I'll get all my points out in. Right now, you have to, like, cast it on every target. You see this? Yeah, I mean, that's no good, is it? That's the problem with it. Now, it's supposed to be able to be spread by Infernal Blast, like you would expect it to, but unfortunately, it can't be. Which is a real bummer. And you've got to do this, like, Living Bomb spam on everything. Get all Living Bombs back up. Starting to feel like an Affliction Warlock, getting my agonies up and all that kind of stuff. What are you doing over here? You're annoying me. Are you a caster? Alright, I'm going to focus on you then. As the rage DPS in here, I will take it upon myself to deal with this shenanigans over in the corner. Come here. Rotheart Dryad. Take it. I'm just here soloing this. Look how spread out these are. Don't you wish you had Death Grip? This tank's like, fucking wish I had Death Grip. God damn it. Death Grip would be so nice right now. So I picked up quite a lot of artifact power. I'll show you that in a second. When I say a lot, I've got two of the main perks here. I was actually really excited for Pyretic Incantation. When I read it, it was like every consecutive crit strike will increase your crit damage by 5%. I was like, oh shit, maybe the actual damage of fire can go completely, completely obscene. Didn't quite work that way. Yeah, you got it. Didn't quite work that way. It's actually just a flat 5% damage buff. So, yeah, a little unfortunate that that is the case. I mean, we would have liked something better for sure. Now, from what I can tell, there's actually no issue with being a little spammy with Flame Strike, because Flame Strike hits really hard. Like, its actual impact damage is really good. It's obviously not enough to cope with, like, single target effects, but it's overall pretty decent, which I quite like. Is there something in that building? Yes. Fear. Fear awaits you in that building. A giant, enormous, flaccid penis that can never get hard. And that's the true irony. I'll check it out. I have no idea. I've never been in this building. My answer is probably no, though. It would be nice to get a purple box up there. Whee! Uh-oh. Where the fuck am I? I'm invisible. Is this the tank? Oh, good. I thought that would let us jump out onto where we actually were, but it did not. It was ignited. Good. Whee! The mobility is still quite nice, though. You have plenty of options for mobility, which I think is really nice. The natural spreading of dots, compared to, like, Infernal Blast spreading them, it's one of the things I think you'll either love or hate. I mean, Infernal Blast has its purpose, and its purpose is to get you into Pyro, right? That's why it exists. So I don't think it's too big of a deal that it naturally spreads, because I mean, come on, we were doing it so often, it was doing it anyway. Is the kind of idea behind it, and yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's no issue to me. I have no idea where we are, though, bros. I want to check. I'm always looking at my talents. This is what I find. Like, I've done a shitload of stuff on the Fire Mage. Like, hours and hours. I mean, we're talking 12 plus hours at least on the Fire Mage. I constantly ping up my talents to look for something more interesting to do. And that's the real sadness, if I'm being honest with you guys. That is the real sadness. Is that I am always doing that. You'll notice I'm going to do it pretty regularly here. Is I keep switching my talents up to see if it's something more interesting to do. And Cinderstorm kind of fits the mold there. But not enough, I don't think. Not enough at all. In order to make it worthwhile. I'm also kind of wondering, I'm sure it'll be a numbers thing. I assume Dragon's Breath isn't really supposed to be an AoE ability because they don't really like it when casters have to go to melee. I mean, that's something they've wanted to get away from since the classic Warlock days of Shadowflame. So I assume that's not going to stick around as an idea. But you could certainly get the idea, even in my very low geared state. Super low geared. I showed this in the other video. We've got like a lot of greens going on here. Which proc haste and stuff. Is that you're just pyroing all the time. I'm doing it again. No, there's so many passives. Just absolutely so many passives. That it's bizarre because you just want something else to happen and it just doesn't happen. And it's really quite annoying. And this is why I think a lot of people will go to fire now, and in the beginning they're probably going to be quite happy. And I think people will respond well to the changes to fire in the initial sort of months of Legion. I think that will definitely be a thing. Because you can use it like straight out the box. You could just pick this up. You can level with it just fine. I leveled to like 104.5 just fine as pure fire. Because obviously you can only get the one artifact weapon. We're going more single target now. So I'm going to go to this. I guess. Do I have Flame Patch? I can get rid of Flame Patch. I'm not going to be flame striking as much here. But better make use of it because we have it. Let's Flame Patch. You can level with it just fine. You'll never be in a place where it's rubbish, but it will, at the same time, and a lot of people I think will like that. I think people will be more than happy that it does that. But at the same time, you're never going to have that period of time like you have at the end of Legion. And I'm sure there are some people who watch the first half of this video who have said things like, or thought to themselves, no, it's like that in live, Preach. You get so many combustions, so many pyros in live. It's really no different. I mentioned this a few times, and it's important you guys remember that you're comparing your anecdotal evidence to the very end of an expansion where everything, absolutely everything, is basically nerfed. And you're wearing gear that is far, far, far too powerful for probably the content you're doing. Even when you're doing mythic raids, once you've got a few mythic items, you overgear that content in this stage. Let's interrupt that. You overgear the content at that point, yeah? And you really do overgear that content. And you have crit rating that that's an obscene amount of crit rating, yeah? It's absolutely crazy. So we haven't got Rune of Power this time, but we have got the boss, Mr. Oakhart. What we'll be watching for here is shit on the ground. So we'll wait till we get our heating up, and then we'll... Oh, I should have taken Flame On! Motherfucker! I forgot Flame On again. I'll take it after this. Yeah, without Flame On, this is really risky trying to get exactly what I want. Oh, I didn't move from it. Didn't see it. Ha! Never mind. Never mind. Burn in righteous flame. Is it a cast? Crushing Grip. Is that it? Yeah, you can see that, as you can see here, it plays really nicely for the first bit. And honestly, for the first time I played it, I picked it up and I was like, oh, you know what? This is pretty good. I don't think I'm in Nightmare of the range here. Yeah, cool. I thought this is pretty good, you know. It's like, it's fire towards the end of the expansion without being at the end of the expansion. And I'm okay with that at first. But once I got to play it more, I was like, wow, we're giving up a lot to have this happen. You really are giving up so much to have this happen. Which is a real shame. And this boss has an absurd amount of health. Like, really absurd. We've really got combustion back. That means I've got a rocket. At no point with fire right now, as you can probably tell, is there a point where I'm like, that was really cool. Which is a real shame. It's a real shame. Right, we've got a combustion back. I'm actually going to build up to 2 Infernal Blasters to make sure we can get a decent combustion off. There's one. I snap you like a twig. Nearly got 2, so our next... there we go. Let's go. combustion on. Because I haven't got flame on, I'm going to have to be really sort of fireball heavy during my combustion, which is a little shame, but that's the way it is. The rotation is extremely static. And I'm sure some people will find ways of increasing the fun. What I can certainly see happening later in the expansion is that Infernal Blast might become a spell that you just don't want to use because your natural crit rating is so high. And you're probably going to focus very heavily on haste and mastery, which I totally get. I totally get that. That will probably be the playstyle choice as it goes further in the expansion. But that's kind of the issue. I can already see the full sort of life and death of fire over the course of the entire expansion at this point. And what I'm doing here, I feel honestly, you guys probably don't know this, but a few of you will. I have talked about it in the past. I used to play a Fire Mage in vanilla, but it wasn't mine. What I used to do is when I was sick of healing, because I was a priest throughout most of vanilla, like 95% of vanilla, and my raiding experience was nearly 95% priest. But when I was kind of sick of healing, what I would do is play my friends' characters when they weren't around, yeah? So I had a friend called Det, was his in-game name, and Det was a fire mage. And around about AQ40, I remember specifically I had great fun on Huhuran. I started playing... Oh, please tell me I burned all them before his eye beam ticked. I started playing his fire mage. This feels like that period of time. It really does. And that was a time when combustion just gradually increased your crit chance until you got like a certain amount of crit, I think. Phoenix Flames. It increased your crit chance until you got like... it was either one crit, it was something weird. It was like either until you got one crit. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it really feels like that. And in between times, you're just casting the usual shit, just waiting for those moments when you got a crit. But when you got that crit, it kind of felt good, but it wasn't that exciting either. It's just that you got the crit that you've been waiting for, essentially. It really does feel like that. I feel like I'm playing a class from 10 years ago. And not in a good, nostalgic, rose-tinted kind of way. I'm playing a spec that feels... Oh, mobs. Didn't see you guys there. Hi. Oh, can you guys, like, gather up? Oh, stay there. Nailed it. Ha ha ha. That's how you flame strike. I really do feel that way. And again, not in the good way, really. Just in that sort of, oh yeah, this feels very familiar. But the difference was back then, getting the Pyroblast was very, very exciting. Pyroblast is obviously just not exciting. I'd much rather spend it on Flame Strike as it is right now. Many whelps, handle it. Yeah, yeah. Let's get the Phoenix Flames flying in. I will be much happier with this spec once you get Phoenix Reborn back. Now, Phoenix Reborn activates the... and now I think about it, I don't think I mentioned it in the first video, which is probably prompted a lot of people to wonder whether I know it exists. Yeah. So Phoenix Reborn was actually the first ability you got with your artifact weapon. Now they've changed it to be down here. It deals 2 damage to each ignited target and grants a flame orb. So you can activate your flame orbs to just go in line with your combustion. Which then just... But all that's going to really do is mean that you cast more Phoenix Flames in similar vein that you would cast Frost Firebolts with a Fire Mage, yeah? That's what that's really going to do. So, will that alter anything? No, not really. It's steady. I feel like I'm coming across like I'm complaining. I'm really not. I'm really not. It's a fine spec and it does its job. It's consistent, it's reliable, it has no real sort of crazy moments. But the problem, having said that, is probably that feeling that some of you are getting, is I liked those crazy moments. I really enjoyed them. I truly, truly enjoyed them. And without them, something just feels like it's missing, yeah? Something just feels like it's missing. And that's the thing. It feels like, you know, yeah, I used to pick up my Fire Mage. Now, I will say I've never been a fan of the Fire Mage in terms of a main spec. I don't think even in any incarnation I could have played a Fire Mage full time, because I generally prefer melee from my personal preference, right? So take that as maybe being a little bias or whatever you want to say. But generally speaking, that's my feeling on it. I've activated the whelps. That's my general feeling on it. But every now and again, especially with the job that I do, I would pick up the Fire Mage to just have fun with it. Because it had that really silly, over-the-top fun mechanic, which I really, really enjoyed for a short period of time, similar to how I feel about Elemental Shamans, right? Elemental Shamans aren't going to keep me, or at least sort of like Legion's version, or WOD's version, I should say, not Legion's version. WOD's version of the Elemental Shaman isn't going to keep me interested as, for my personal taste, for a really long time, but every now and again I want to jump on that, and I might stay on it for a couple of days, just having fun with it, because it is a load of silly fun. And that's how I felt about Ret Paladins as well, for a melee example. I would not do that ever again with the Fire Mage in its current incarnation. I wouldn't, because I'm not going to get silly, weird, fun moments that are just like completely over the top, completely ridiculous, feel really satisfying in a short term sort of like, think of it a bit like sex in a way. So you have long term love making or whatever, and then every now and again, oh no, I'm not doing that. Oh, my instincts. I almost fucked myself there. I wouldn't do that because I'm not going to get it. I know exactly what I'm going to get the second I log it. Is that a bad thing? No. Right, combustion, go. So what we're hoping for is a lot of Inferno Blast, and then we can use Flame On to keep it going. You see the way I'm using Flame On to keep it going throughout the entirety of combustion? So we casted way less fireballs there. He's trying to throw us into whelps here, but we're a mage, so... Not a big deal game. Ooh, that doesn't look good. I have not realised, I wonder if any of the other mages have noticed as well, who are used to checking out the buff bar and stuff, is how often I actually use Ice Flows. Every fucking second, like it's one of my most used key bindings next to... I probably use Ice Flows, or try and activate Ice Flows as much as I try and activate Pyro. Let's get some more Infernal Blast charges. Oh, I wasted that one, which is kind of silly, but there we go. We've got Phoenix Flames. And you can see now why Phoenix Flames is a problem. I had no choice but to use that Phoenix Flames. There was no decision-making process or anything there. I just had to use it. Because it replaces Pyro in its current incarnation, which was, again, it was fully intentional for it to do that. Do not want to stand here. My back is to the whelps. I want to stand here. I do not want to stand with my back to the whelps. You can see how kind of cool and the utility of Flame On in terms of... Oh, we got a combustion. Cool. Whee! You see how Flame On is filling all these gaps so we don't have to cast anywhere near as many fireballs? Yeah? It's very cool. It's a very cool use for it. Slipped it in just in time. Good. Flame On is actually so useful, which is great. I think it will diminish in long-term gameplay as gear gets better in its value as your crit becomes more stable, but in this, even in this low gear, it more than makes the rotation really, really smooth. And let's face facts, right? That's good design. It is good design. It's good design. They found lots of talents which really, really balance out the natural flaws that the spec has. Right? The natural flaws and the inconsistencies that Fire had, they found a way to smooth that out. They've done a good job. The problem is, this has 10 years of being the volatile fucking TNT spec, where things got a little crazy. Whee! Right? There's a 10-year legacy that will now be lost into the world of, oh, you're just being rose-tinted and nostalgic for those players. Where Fire was the obscene, crazy, fucking drunken uncle. That sometimes you just didn't know when he was going to fucking go. He was like, you know he's going to go. When is he going to go? I don't know, bro, but he's fucking going to go. I know he's going to go. And when he does go, it's actually kind of cool. But yeah, he's the crazy uncle for sure. And that's going to be a lot to let go of some people. And that's what I'm feeling more than anything. Is there anything inherently wrong with this design? No! It does exactly what you say. It'll scale nicely. There'll be changes through the expansion that'll make it work. They intentionally went over the top with trying to cripple its potential. They did do that. And Phoenix Flames and the combustion changes are definitely signs of that happening. But generally speaking, if it came out initially like this, fine, no problems. The real issue is that it didn't. And for 10 years, it was that fucking drunken uncle. I certainly want combustion changed. Combustion is massively uninteresting. Really, really uninteresting. They should certainly at least include it that every spell you cast causes hot streak. Because when you're not... The difference between there is just fucking immense. And not in a really good way either. So I hope they change that so that while under the effects of combustion, every spell causes hot streak. Just so you know you're either going to be tunneling Phoenix Flames or you're going to be tunneling Pyroblasts. And you don't have to have that keybind muscle flex that most of you will generate from playing Fire, which is... I should absolutely be pressing Fireball immediately after pressing Pyro, yeah? Because you don't know if it's going to proc or not. You should know that it's going to proc. Can I decurse still? Do mages even still have decurse? Wow, I don't. Interesting. I assume that was a curse. Well, I'm invisible anyway, but we shouldn't wipe on this boss anyway. So, what I'm going to be doing on this boss is actually saving cooldowns for the second phase. That might be a mistake, because I might miss out on a cast of combustion, but I'm honestly not sure. So, that is how I'm going to play it. As our friend Mr. Xavier's here. Now, there's a weird debuff here that, yeah, this one. Which will involve us having to be in range of other people to not get silenced. That's how that mechanic works. So, it looks like you should run the fuck away, but in fact, no. So, we'll see. I might be missing out on a cast of combustion by doing what I'm doing here, which is not using combustion right now. But I'll have to wait and see. So, we're going to flame on there to get my Inferno charges back. This flame on is a much shorter cooldown than combustion. Not that it's on cooldown, never mind. Just a thought process in my head, assuming I'd have cast combustion straight away. And it just fills in these consistencies. Right, here's Feed the Weak. No. Usually this debuff is worn off by now, but not as of yet. It must be at 50%, so I should have used combustion earlier. I probably may have even got a reset by now. That would have been possible, but never mind. We all live with the choices we make in PvE. Sometimes we make the right one, sometimes we make the wrong one, but that is just the state of things. Here we go. Here we go. Combustion, go. No flame on, so we might have more fireballs than I wanted. And we have to burn this down as quickly as possible as the mechanic here. I've got to keep my little radius circle next to everyone else. Is it because I'm the only ranged? I'm the only one getting hit by this? Yeah, maybe. So I would have liked to have used like my Phoenix Flames then. Horrified. Should have ice blocked. Rookie. I know a certain mage from my guild will be laughing at me for not ice blocking that then. Thought about it a little too late. That is the nature. Oh, he's gone back to full health. Excellent. Oh, please stop doing that. Oh, he's feared. Never mind. No, I need to stay with you guys. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. Stop it. Boo. Oh, man. The sadness is real. Maybe they've changed this account. Maybe it's supposed to go back to full health. I don't think so, though, but I could be wrong. So I have my combustion almost back again. Move to here. Oh, this is a nightmare. Imagine if I had Rune of Power. The nightmare would be real, right? Oh my god, this is so frustrating having to stay with this guy. Right, combustion, fuck it. Let's combust this fuck. Flame on. As many pyros as I can throw into his face. Yeah, I could have certainly got 3 combustions off during this fight. So, there you go. Live and let live. Mistakes were made, but we'll live. Oh, I didn't time warp. Sorry. Oh my god, the comment section. Oh, that's what happens when you're focusing on recording the video and trying to give some sort of commentary. I totally apologize. I apologize to our group. Sorry. Yeah, total derper. Forgot time warp. Boo fucking who. Just realised then. Oh, the sadness. The sadness. Not even forgiveness. So there's the Fire Mage. That's the general idea of what it's going to play. The changes that Blizzard have announced is what I've already told you, is that Phoenix Flames will have its own button. You'll be able to activate them with Phoenix Reborn, and you'll generally use them like Frost Fireballs. Nothing more, nothing less. Those are the changes that are upcoming so far. We will revisit it towards the end of Legion, as we will with every spec. But thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.